stay right here. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
You want me to airdrop you the graphics or the two PDFs? Because I have two PDFs that I need to print. Okay. There's the two graphics, and then let me pull the. Micah, can you go let my grandma in? She's locked outside.
No. Oh.
And then let me
What's
go
her
ahead
first
and-
name?
Evan. Evan. Evan Archer.
Grandmother's first
no,
name?
my grandma. Oh, I thought you were asking me. I thought you said, what's my first name? Teresa.
Teresa. Thomas, right?
Yep, Teresa Thomas.
Teresa and Tommy
I thought you were
Thomas.
asking me what my first name was. I was like,
No.
how did you know my
Like
first
Thomas
name?
the Train. Like,
Thomas the Train.
yeah, absolutely.
Noemi, is the what I'm seeing on here looks darker than that up there. Which one is it?
Mason, I don't think anybody was asking you.
You don't have to put up with that. This is the house of the Lord.
Well, I'm his boss.
Yeah, he's my boss.
I'm your boss's boss, buddy.
Okay, so that's the case. That side of it. Yeah.
Honestly, this studio is better than the TPPF one in Austin.
Really?
The TPPF one was
Say more
cluttered
things
with-
like that.
The TPPF one had stuff cluttered
Yeah, that
everywhere.
correct light. I'm just going to move it so it's not blasting him.
Let me try to find a picture. They have like 20 different studios in there, though. See, it's on our.
And all of them are scattered or something like that?
Well, they're all like on different floors too, and they're like pretty nice studios, but they have like everything everywhere. It's like not organized well.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Ooh, man, I looked right into that. I immediately regret that decision.
This one, this was one of the ones that we went to. This is for their parent empowerment one. It's just cluttered everywhere.
my
And you turn that
goodness.
way, there's just stuff all over the floor. Yes, I airdropped you two PDFs that I needed to get printed out, and then I airdropped you the two graphics. Yes.
At least good enough.
If you need something printed, email it to me really quick. I'll go
Okay.
print it at my office.
It's David at springfirst.org. Okay. Hey, Grandma. Advisor Thomas. Yes, ma'am.
Why is there
Oh, holy lag.
Because that's a live stream.
that's the live stream. You don't want to get stream sniped, don't you?
This guy's funny, bro.
Go tell Pastor David I emailed it to him.
The lag is funny.
Goodness.
You got a low taper fade.
The low taper fade.
Yeah, that's out of reg. It's touching the ears.
My hair is like horrible.
Touching the ears.
I rolled off the bed.
Cut every week. Yeah, but we're on vacation, so.
So we just missed out 1 week.
Yeah, his mom cuts his hair. No, my dad. Oh, okay. His dad. Every Saturday, bro.
Every Saturday haircut. Oh, that sounds so bad. I mean, I look like I rolled off the bed. I mean, I pulled up to work, like with this type of haircut. It worked.
Yeah, didn't you work in like DC for like 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, at least my roommates try to make up their hair, like make it look decent. I just like wake up, put on the suit, just say, "All right, I gotta go, guys. See y'all," and then that's it.
He was mad geeked. I saw you in so much Facebook photos. He looked mad geeked in all of them.
Okay, we don't talk about that.
You looked like you were
Mar-
ready for war.
Mark is just opping with me secretly. He's just taking those photos. He's the one that posts like half the photos.
He said to email it to him and he was gonna go print it. Yeah, but I sent you the two graphics though. The circle and then the rectangle. Yeah. Guess what? Chicken butt. I can feel I'm gonna stutter so much.
No, you're a gifted kid, Evan. I think if you're gonna stutter,
I'm gonna pull a Mason so I'm gonna.
dude. I mean, like,
It's not.
you're a
glazed.
very capable kid, Evan.
It's
I
not
think
glazed.
you know what you should.
No, yes you did. Yes you did. I hear a first sergeant.
All right, y'all gotta chill.
You should have heard him on the radios. It's radio check.
It's not on that.
It's
Hey, he's correcting you. He's correcting you. Hear him out.
loud and clear.
Over. He would in the transmission and then go over.
He go.
He would forget to say over.
He go
All
loud
right, are
and
we
clear.
ready to start? Or
We're waiting for the.
Oh, okay.
I left the bills at your house.
We're gonna have a Georgia chapter soon. It's gonna be great. Evan, we're gonna.
It's
take
gonna
over
be
Georgia.
great.
It's gonna be. Asaf is gonna be real scared. He's gonna be crying. He's gonna be teared up. No, I'm kidding.
Alrighty, thank you.
You're gonna read the entire bill.
I've already read it. That's 515. So if you wanna.
It's 1-5. 5-1.
This is House Bill
long.
3. House Bill 3 is long. Yeah.
And all the homeschool parents, in my opinion, are we allowed to say controversial things? You're homeschooled?
Mhm.
Homeschool, your parents oppose this? Yeah. I think they should be for it.
Only my dad works, so my mom can't work.
But they're probably paying property taxes, aren't they?
Yep. And school taxes.
Definitely. I'm the only one from public
To the
school
right.
here. I feel outcasted.
What do you mean?
Evan, we're both public school.
Mm-hmm. So is he. Mason's public school. He goes to Tomball.
Tomball High?
Tomball Junior.
Oh, that school.
He told me, he's like, I'm going to Tomball High School.
No, you should go to Memorial.
That, like so many times.
You should go to
I have
Memorial.
ups at Memorial.
No, I'm
You should-
going to Tomball High School.
No, do Star Academy. Do Star Academy. Trust. Academics first, little bro. No. I want you to take. No, my expectation of you is high. I want you to take Calc BC freshman year. No exception. No, 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 no. No excuses. There's only calculus for you, buddy.
You're only saying that because you're Asian.
Okay. I'm in. By the way, I'm in pre-calculus honors right now,
Oh,
so I don't know.
Okay.
See what's going on? She'll put us on a timer. Maybe can you just start a clock?
You just
running
go
so they can see
down
it?
there. Yeah, down the stairs, and then you turn right, and then
Maybe
you just
5,
walk
10
down the.
minutes.
Okay. How long
Maze.
is the whole podcast?
Ow. I hit my face on the microphone.
Film it? Do y'all edit it and then post produce it?
But it wasn't good at all. it was because the TikTok ban. TikTok owns CapCut, and it got banned halfway
Oh.
through. So then we had to finish the rest on iMovie. That thing would have been 5 minutes if it wasn't for Matthew.
Did Tanya turn the AC on? Does it keep cutting off? Um,
Sure.
try to get it where you have to do the least amount of. That may not be possible today, but if you can get to where you're switching out transition, got two camera views, you can zoom in, show them what a different camera view is, because you've got your camera right here.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they go to a shot of you and you're talking about house bill, whatever, you can already know and you can look straight into that camera as
Mhm.
while you're talking to your audience or whatever.
And then he could switch out.
You can
Switch
out
to
your
me.
person and you don't have to cut
Mm.
a video.
Okay.
And the cue to do that is thank the person for being here. We're really glad
Mm-hmm.
in our organization. We appreciate you. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right.
Again, when you see that your deal is cut and you see that you're not on the main thing, you can just quietly move off to the side. She can mute that mic and somebody else can come in
Alright.
while you're transitioning right there. That's what I would do.
That sounds like a
That's
good
what we
idea.
do
Yeah.
when we have special
Instead of stopping the whole thing and waiting for 30 minutes
Yeah,
and then
have-
talking about
have
it. Yeah.
Downtime.
have one main person that's the host, whoever
Mhm.
that is, and they're hosting the whole thing.
Where did Micah
Um,
go? Okay, Mason, I'm pretty sure you haven't read over House Bill 3. I know he has, maybe him, but y'all might want to read over
Read this
House Bill
38-page
3.
document, please, sir. Thank you.
just so y'all can know what we're talking about.
I already read 515. This is 515.
Chicken, 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 steak, steak, steak is on.
Sure, yeah. Maybe the banner, yeah. If it's possible, I'd like the
Do you have a jingle?
I'd like the circle one, like in the bottom corner of the video, if possible, or something like that. If not, it's completely fine.
And if you feel or hear your deal squeaking,
Just don't move.
try not to move very much.
Don't breathe at all. Just stand still.
Yeah, the breathing's fine. It's that squeaking of your chair that you keep doing that's gonna.
It's gonna throw us off. Yeah.
No, it won't throw everybody off, but the mic will pick it up.
Oh yeah, that might be the problem.
Mason, have Micah read 515. Take the.
The whole thing.
No,
Yeah, no, just have him read 515.
Okay.
That way he knows what we're talking about.
They're showing to be on, but I switched the time, but they're showing online.
We should put
It just kicked on, so that's good, period. I just don't want it to go off again and us be sitting up here catching on fire.
All right.
How many different segments?
3. So it'll be us for the first 2, and then he'll swap with Mason, and then we'll do 515, and then actually no. Yeah, so 3. So we'll do our opening recruitment, then we'll start on House Bill 3, and then after we're like halfway through, he'll swap out with Micah, and then we'll finish House Bill 3, and then we'll start with him, and then we'll swap out with Micah, and then we'll start with him
For today, it may be easier just to do like hard like cuts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can even say, coming up next, we're going to talk about whatever bill. And then if you have an announcement or some type of like video and throw it in there. It's like free advertising or whatever. I don't know. That's mine.
Does Cassandra, does she have like a little, does she have any graphics or something? What's her phone number? I'll text her and ask her.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is you can post-produce that. That can be your transitions for this time. If you want to do this again next time, if y'all will be really nice to know Amy, and we can talk her into producing again sometime. You can have those videos in there, and they can go to the video, and you can come back. All right, now we're switching, and then you have something like a little quick buffer video. I'll give you my old campaign video.
Can you ask Cassandra, or can you give me Cassandra's number so I can get her?
I'll do all of that. Gentlemen, I don't know if you know, this man ran for congressional district, and he was the last one to jump in the race, but he won a huge amount of votes that no one expected in a very short period of time.
And I got smoked by Wesley Hunt.
Well, everybody did, but he did a good showing.
I think it was clearly election fraud. There's no way somebody gets 54% of the vote in a 10-person race. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
I think they looked at how much money we spent and then just ranked us by that and then threw in some numbers. The whole thing was fraud. But he was hinting this week that he might challenge John Cornyn.
He did.
That'd be great.
It's a little awkward for me. I was his page, but
John Cornyn?
yeah.
Well, hopefully, were you a Rhino page?
When you put it like that, you make me sound really bad.
Well, hey, just because you were working with him doesn't make you like him, so.
I'm not like him.
Good, then I like you.
You know that Ted Cruz does not get to pick a page, only Cornyn.
Really?
Yeah, he has it on his website.
Check your mic, Evan.
1, 2, 3.
Did you move that thing?
Well, I was scooting up.
He's giving you like
touched
your
the
done
microphone
stare.
after we had it set?
It's still set. I just moved it forward.
Okay. Did you turn it up like that?
Yeah. Or the other dude did.
Huh?
The other dude did.
Tommy?
You're gonna have to talk up.
It's got to be
Alright.
directed.
You have to, like, even now practicing talking loud because you can't hear you.
All right, stutter, stutter, stutter. Mason.
Yeah, just get that thing super close to your mouth. Talk
Okay.
loud.
House Bill 3.
I was feeling left out, so I put on my thing. Did you notice that?
We're inclusive. We're the Republican Party. They may say we're not inclusive, but we're still inclusive in several different ways.
Inclusive of what? People who
Like-
don't have these?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I don't. Can we
Not
trust
wearing
this guy? He worked with John. I'm going to mention it on the podcast. I don't
Whoa,
know if we
whoa,
can
whoa,
trust this
whoa,
guy.
whoa, 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 chill,
He
chill,
worked
chill.
with John Cornyn.
No.
Did he personally pick you,
No.
or did you like win a?
Oh, I went through his staff, and then like the top 5 applicants like landed on his desk, and the most qualified he picked. Like,
That's awesome. Hey, either way. I mean, I'm not a fan of his politics, but if you get picked by a United States senator out of a group of a bunch of people, that's saying a lot. So good for you.
all right, thank
What?
you.
Good for you. Even if it is.
Yes, there's a blue
John
Charger
Cornyn.
in the.
Hey, it could be worse. You
or
could've-
it's in my
could've been
green
Sanders.
backpack.
Could have been Dan Crenshaw.
It's a black cable. It's got a big block on the end.
Well, he does a spot. I mean, the House doesn't have the page program anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah. Do the Harris County Republican, what's the name of your group? Harris County
Harris
Republican.
County High School Republicans.
The High School Republican National Federation. What is it?
That's our national
That's our
chapter. We're at the county chapter.
Yeah. My question for the county chapter of Harris County High School Republicans is, have y'all been interviewing people to primary Dan Crenshaw?
We're not.
You should.
Not yet. We haven't
Yeah.
gotten there.
There's 3 names already. I've met them.
Yeah, I
met-
know Jameson Ellis is going to run again.
I think Brandon Creighton wants to be governor, so I think he's going to stick to state, but he would be great too. Is Steve Toth going to challenge him? No? Are you allowed to say the other names that you know of? That never stopped me before.
Is that how you want it to start?
Sure. Yeah. Yep. Sure. Mm-hmm.
Do we have any like stock jingles that we can play besides mine?
We have, gentlemen, this is something that not many people get to experience or learn about. This is amazing.
What? Don't worry about it. You have hairs sticking straight up. Hold on. Don't move. No, don't move.
Peak HS reps
He
activity.
texted me last night and asked if we had lights you could borrow. I'm like, you're good. Just show up. Like, it's a professional studio. But I guess you'd never, I assumed that you had seen it
No.
or knew that what we did. Okay, let's go for it. Are y'all ready?
Almost.
We'll just try it. Are you nervous? Don't be nervous. Yeah, Jesus, help. Are y'all okay if we talk to the Lord?
Yeah.
Sure. Jesus, help these people not be so nervous. Thank you for their organization and this beautiful idea for a podcast. Give these people peace and confidence. In Jesus' name, amen. En el nombre de Padre, el Hijo y Espíritu Santo, amen.
All right.
He brings joy and laughter
Yeah.
along with Christ.
No, stay. It would be a shame to come all this way and not to get to sit in here and watch. Are you going straight to a group shot or a straight shot to him? Okay.
And then recruitment's the first one, correct?
And when it's just you, you're going to go straight there on that. You're there in camera 2. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 3.
I'm gonna introduce myself, and then I guess we can go just down the line. So then introduce Pastor David, and then Carden, you can introduce yourself, just like a brief
second.
Yeah, brief few seconds of like what you do,
Okay.
stuff like that, and then we're gonna go into House Bill 3.
All right.
All right, then you're gonna talk about recruitment. Then we'll go into House Bill 3.
Wait, so I do recruitment first, then house bill.
Yep.
Okay,
we're gonna
that
do
sounds
recruitment
good.
first, and then we're gonna go into House Bill 3, and then midway through, you'll swap out with Micah.
So during the house bill 3, I'll just.
We'll,
And then-
we'll do like the first 2 questions, and then we'll swap out with Micah.
Yeah,
then
and
we'll
I'll
go
leave
to-
my laptop here because it's gonna be weird seeing a big, much more bulky laptop here.
Yeah.
All right.
Quiet until I point at you, Evan.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Evan Archer. I'm the chairman for the Harris County High School Republicans. Today is our March podcast of the Red Wave Rising podcast. Today is Saturday, March 15th, and today we're going to be talking about House Bill 3 and House Bill 515. So my name's Evan Archer. I'm the chairman. I've been in the organization for about a year and a half now. My buddy over here, Carden, he's now taken a national position, but he helped me found the organization after we served as pages at the Republican State Convention in San Antonio. So, Carden, if you can go ahead and give a brief statement about yourself.
Hi there. My name is Carden, as he said earlier. Right now I'm the National Development Director of the High School Republican National Federation. Before that, I was a county chair. He has my spot now. But then I had to resign, unfortunately, because of me taking up a job in Washington, D.C. as a Senate page. I was the sole Texan selected to work in the Capitol. Then after that, the national chairman kind of called me and said, and I asked him, is it possible that I could be a national development director? I said, sure. I've seen what you've done with our county chapter and the hard work we've done. So now I'm the national development director. I'm responsible for recruitment, resources for all the chapters, and I do things very uniquely. But thank you for introducing me, Evan.
Yep. Pastor David, could you go ahead and give us a statement about yourself?
Yeah, well, my name is David Hogan. I'm the pastor at Spring First Church here in Spring, Texas. And in case you can't tell, I am no longer in high school, but I got invited by Evan to come on today and be a special guest. So I'm happy to be here. I've been involved in the Republican Party for quite a while. Like you guys, I started when I was in high school back in 1996. I was a page at the state convention, and been around the state Republican Party for a long time, and been a precinct chair and all that kind of stuff. So I'm glad to see you guys doing an awesome job as high school students, and then even in Washington, D.C. I mean, we might be sitting with like a future president or senator right now or something. Who knows?
We'll see.
So, Cardin, we're really trying to get our recruitment up, as some of y'all might know. We're going to a ton of events locally and statewide. The other day we went to a Cypress Republicans meeting and had a talk with Jeff McGeorge and some talks with the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. We filmed a Instagram reel with him, and some of y'all might have saw. It's probably one of our biggest videos on our Instagram page.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Cardin, if you could go ahead and talk about recruitment on the national side, that would be awesome.
Well, as I said earlier, I'm the development director. I'm supposed to recruit the people. Now, for people that are in Texas or in the state that has a active chapter, what would happen is, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But first, what you would do is you would go to the national website, highschoolrepublicans.com, and then you would sign up the form, fill out the form, and then what would happen is I would get the list, and depending on where you're from, for example, let's say you're from Texas, I would forward you to the county chair or the state chair. If you're from a state that doesn't have a active chapter, what would I do is I would contact you directly, and I would do a one-on-one call. You can be honest with me, have any questions, and all of that. In fact, I actually got off of one today with a potential person. He's very interested in starting a Georgia chapter. So I hope you guys take the initiative and contact us through the website. But yeah.
Yes, so HCHSR, we finally got our website up, hchsr.com. We've got everything up and running now. We've got our mission statement, and we've got a ton of pictures. We've got all of our social media links on there too as well. We've also got our newsletter sign up, and we've got a form that is gets emailed to the Nationals. So if you want to sign up, it's linked to the Nationals, so you can just fill that out and you can become a member. We've also got all the board on there with the pictures of themselves and their titles of their board positions. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and move into House Bill 3. I'm going to ask y'all some questions about House Bill 3. All right, so Ted Cruz has called school choice the civil rights issue of our time, and it was one of the biggest issues that President Trump campaigned on. With over 75% of conservatives in favor of school choice, why do you feel House Bill 3 is so controversial in the 89th legislature of Texas? Pastor Hogan, if you can go ahead.
Ask the question again.
Ted Cruz has called school choice in the civil rights move. Whoa, hold on. I just stuttered. I read two different sentences at once. Ted Cruz has called school choice the civil rights issue of our time, and it is one of the biggest issues that President Trump campaigned on. With over 75% of conservatives in favor of school choice, why do you feel House Bill 3 is so controversial in the 89th Texas legislature?
Why do I think it's controversial? Well, because there's a lot of people that are opposing it. In my view, I think it's a great thing. I've read through the Senate version and the House version of this bill. It's a great start. Are there things that could be tweaked on it? I think, you're never going to keep everybody happy, but we've been trying to get this passed for a very, very long time. And I think the reason I think it's controversial this is one of those issues that isn't just dividing people, down the aisle of left and right. You've got, there's a lot of Republicans and conservatives that are opposing it as well. I will refer to them as so-called conservatives because a lot of times it's interesting to me that when you talk about public education, people that are generally claim to be conservative, like all of a sudden throw out conservative values like out the window, especially when it comes to public education. And if you talk to people who are teachers or administrators or heavily involved in their school district or something like that. It's like, we want to be fiscally conservative, except when it's coming to the education of our kids, and then we just want to spend all of this money. But I mean, there's a bunch of reasons why it's so controversial. But I think most of the people that are opposing it are people that hold public education as like the priority, like the top on their priority list of what they want to see public funding go to. And in my view, I think they lose focus of a few fundamental things. First of all, and I'll use myself as an example, and feel free to interrupt any time on this if you have if you want to direct me a certain way, because I could talk about this for a while. But in my view, in my situation, so we're in Klein ISD. I own property there. We pay property tax. I pay school taxes to Klein ISD, and I've got 2 girls that were in private school. One's in college now, and one's at Providence Classical. I think one of your members is going to school there as well. But I'm still paying into the public, paying my fair share, my school taxes. But I also have to pay private school tuition, and the people that would disagree would say, well, you don't have to do that, you choose to do that. And I do, but when we made an attempt right before like 2018, 2019, we pulled our girls out of private school, and we tried Klein for a little while, and it was an absolute train wreck with a couple of the other issues that you were talking about here. Discipline in the classroom. That was probably the biggest issue that was plaguing the schools our daughters were in. But bullying, the idea of DEI, just like rampant, being like brainwashing my children. That lasted a hot minute. We took them back out and put them back in private school. But our big gripe is, if I'm paying school taxes, this is I think the main thing that needs to be remembered. If I'm paying taxes to educate children just because I want to choose a different school and a different type education for my child, why does my tax dollars still have to go to fund everybody else? The money should follow the child. And it does present a few other predicaments with that, regulating all of the curriculum and stuff like that. I understand that, but fundamentally, my hard-earned dollars, and just because we want to choose a different school doesn't make my daughter less of a Texan than anybody else. So I'm all for it.
Awesome. Cardinal, do you have any comments about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we have to note that the problem with public education I have is the quality is inconsistent. If you look at niche.com, it's my go-to source for looking at the rankings for the schools. You have, let's say, the same district, Cy-Fair ISD. It's one of the largest districts. We have on the top end, Cypress Woods, Cypress Ranch, Bridgeland, best schools in the entire district. But then we have other schools like Cypress Lake, Cypress Springs, which have a much more rough background, and it shows the inconsistency. In fact, I really didn't want to go to one of those schools, and I actually had to move houses just to go to the public school, which shouldn't be happening. It should be where I am able to have the choice to go to the school I want to go to. Another thing is the fact that we're going to have this bill soon, if it passes, which I hope it does. It gives the kids the opportunity to attend these best schools. I have the rankings open on my computer right now. 2025 best schools in Houston. St. John's School, #1 best school in the entire city. The Village School, another private school. The John Cooper School in the Woodlands. All of them, and the Altia International School, all of them are private schools that are highly ranked within the entire state, Houston. I think St. John's actually at one point had #1 in the entire state. And we don't want kids to be restricted the ability to attend these schools and have the best education possible. Another thing is, have you guys heard of the QuestBridge Scholars Program?
Yes, vaguely.
I have not.
So it's a program where children from less fortunate backgrounds that aren't able to make, I'd say, under $70K a year, have a golden opportunity to apply and match with a top 20 school. We're basically one step closer with that with Senate Bill 2 and House Bill 3. And I'm hoping that if this passes, all the kids that are in less fortunate backgrounds than all of us, I mean, there are kids that aren't able to even go to have a podcast like this today. That's what the bill is for. It's for those kids. And I hope that this bill will pass to give them the opportunity, because that $10,000 could change a life, because the your 4 years of high school actually are the most important years of your entire life. It defines you for the rest of your life. It may be college, but 4 years is all it takes to define your entire life and change you. But yeah, thank you very much for asking for my opinion.
Yes, I wanted to add a comment on that $10,000 in the savings accounts for students in private, public, and even homeschooled. I went to a TPPF event a few weeks ago, and Senator Middleton was there, and he was talking about how people that were homeschooled and didn't need the money to be homeschooled, and they wanted to have different, let's say you wanted to take a STEM class, but that costs way too much money, and it wasn't part of a homeschool co-op, or you couldn't do that at home. I go to a Sci-Fair school, and when I was in private school, I wouldn't have ever had the opportunity to take shop class, or I know that some of the newer schools like Cy Creek and Bridgeland, they have a whole auto shop where you can work on cars for a class. And welding, I wouldn't be able to have the opportunity to take 2 class periods every day to take welding class and get a welding certification. I wouldn't be able to have those things in private school. And some of these homeschoolers, I know that Micah, he's going to come on here in a little bit. I know he wants to go into the Air Force, and we're in a little military program, but I joined when I was in private school because I wanted to do something like JROTC. Now that I'm in public school, I can do something like JROTC, but I'm still in this other program, and it's really beneficial for homeschoolers and private schoolers who don't have those opportunities that normal public schools would have. And Senator Middleton, he was talking about how the money didn't have to be used for school education or books or anything like that. It could be used for career-based education. Like me, I'm trying to be a pilot in the future, and let's say my parents decide to pull me out of public school, they can use that $10,000 for a flight program or for flight training. And I walked up to him and I asked him, I was like, can that $10,000 be used towards flight school? And he said, absolutely. And that's mainly the other thing, because flight school is expensive. You don't have $10,000 in your pocket to be wasting every time you want to go out and fly an airplane. This helps me because it's every year you get money for the program. So that's $10,000 every year for a career-based education or homeschool or basically private school. I know private schoolers, there's a lot of different things on private school. I'm not too familiar with them. But the second question I have for you, Pastor David, is do you think there could be any negative ramifications, and how do you think it will help the savings account will help families with children?
Well, I think anytime the government gets involved and starts legislating things, there's always negative ramifications. It just happens that way.
Yeah.
And I think you have to figure out, does the good outweigh the bad is generally what we're looking and trying to figure out. So, I mean, yes, you've got to figure out a way to make sure that people aren't using the money or taking the money fraudulently. There's always a lot of people trying to scam the system and try to take the money, whether that's a school, private school doing that, or and I think the bill addresses this. The school can't raise tuition to basically absorb all of this tuition money. They've got to keep the playing field level. The other thing, and this is what people that are big proponents of the public school education, public education, your teachers, the school districts, the administrators, they're the ones screaming this is going to reduce funding for public schools, which is already depleted. And the tough part, I mean, if we're going to be Republican, if we're fiscally conservative, here's the thing is, we want smaller government, we want lower taxes, right? That's what being conservative is all about. But then when it comes to public school funding, what we see a lot of times is a very socialist ideals that are being implemented, where there's like, I mean, even among the school districts, the way that, you were talking about some of the, we've got some of the state's largest school
schools,
districts
yeah.
right here in the greater Houston areas, but like in the large metropolitan areas, you've got large school districts. But if you're in like a rural area out in the middle of, central Texas or out in West Texas where, you don't have a large population, and you've got schools where property values are low, so their taxing ability to generate income for that school is low. But like here in the Klein area, property values have skyrocketed over the last 10 or 15 years, and they're wanting to burn this is a whole nother, don't get me started on tax rate increases for schools and bond programs and stuff like that. The whole thing to me is a racket. But what they're trying to do, the way the state is funding schools right now is putting the school districts in impossible situations. And I don't know that I have, the answer to solve all of that, but right now, it's basically education socialism, because they're taking the large funding from the school districts and then taking that tax money and then giving it to other smaller districts, and they're literally redistributing the wealth, but they're asking, families like me to do the same exact thing, where I'm paying into a public school system, and they are redistributing my hard-earned dollars in taxes. The people that love public education want more and more and more and more funding, and I think the good thing is, I think what Trump is doing right now, dismantling the Department of Education. Jimmy Carter brought that in the 70s, and since then, like we were like number one in the world in education, and from that point on, like we're down in the 40s now. And how is the United States of America rank among other countries in the 40s? Like that's unacceptable.
Yeah,
it needs to be better. So there's a lot of. It's going to create some issues that have to be addressed, but it's a step in the right direction, and we can, I like to say, burn those bridges when we get to them.
All right, Cardin, can you answer those questions? You need me to read them again?
Just say it again.
All right. How do you think it will help families and children, and do you see any negative ramifications?
Well, the thing about Senate Bill 2 and House Bill 3 is there's been multiple accusations that it's taking money away from the public schools. I think that's a myth. I think it's going to go into the greater purpose of education for the students. Like I mentioned, I don't really see any negatives with how Senate Bill 2 and House Bill 3, because in reality, the liberals are trying to put a false idea that they're taking money away from the.
You're saying that liberals would want to try to present a false idea?
They're trying to.
Did they really do that? I'm joking. That's all they ever do.
That's all they ever do, exactly. You're trying to turn me into one of them, I swear. I'm kidding. But they're trying to push the idea that we're trying to kill public schools, that we're trying to defund the schools. In reality, they have the money, but there is reckless spending. At Cypher ISD, they bought a microphone, like a necklace one, in every room, and then they would put a speaker on the top of the ceiling. The only teachers that use it are either the ones that have a really soft voice, or the ones that just want to use it because it looks cool.
Which ISD was this?
Cypher ISD.
Cypher?
Yep.
And
that's the least of their grievances, I'll tell you that.
Oh, absolutely.
But you're exactly right.
And it's not used in the room. It's not used at all. For example, I have 7 class periods. Only one teacher out of the 7 class periods actually uses it. The remainder just put stuff in this corner. And I'm a part of the superintendent advisory committee. And during a meeting, we were talking about all this technology. And they said, quote unquote, I think it's more effective to replace it than trying to repair it. They're throwing out all of the microphones that may be barely broken, that may just have a simple error or issue, just to buy a new one. That's complete waste. And I need people to realize that we already given them enough money. They've recklessly spent it. And now we're trying to do another solution, which is school choice, Senate Bill 2, House Bill 3. And it allows the kids that are, less fortunate to move up to the higher end schools and stand a chance. I mean, college admissions, very competitive nowadays. If there's a kid in one of the more impoverished areas in Houston, they're placed to this. They're subjected to the same standards a kid going to elite private school has, and their ability to attend the school, access all the classes that Evan mentioned earlier, would definitely change their lives, make them more sharper on their application, more ready for the real world. And that's what I think about the school choice, and if there are any negatives. I think we're being presented with the illusion of a sorry, I'm pausing a little bit, an illusion of taking money away from public schools. It's a myth. We gave them chances over and over again, and by my personal experiences, I've seen them throw away the money like it's nothing.
Can I throw in a question?
Yes, you can.
Y'all are both Sci-Fair?
Yes, sir.
Here's one of my questions for all of the ISDs in Texas. Why do independent school district superintendents, and I'll say almost every single one of them, 95%, I'm pulling that out of the air. I don't have paperwork to back that up, but from the list that I've seen, the district superintendents make more money than a United States senator and the president of the United States. Why is that?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I mean, Mark Henry, not the Dr. Killian, the former superintendent of Sci-Fair ISD.
Mm-hmm.
When I got curious and I looked him up, and guess how much money he made? $515,000.
Yeah, and lavish expense accounts, vehicle allowances. When we killed the tax rate election in 2018 here in Klein ISD, when I say we, me and about 10 other activists. If you're watching this and you're in high school, if you'll get involved, you can make a difference. Mm-hmm. If you just speak the truth, you can beat liberals over the head with the truth, just facts. And at that time, Klein ISD was trying to, in the midst of raising property values that are skyrocketing, they're wanting to raise the tax rate as well. In the middle of that, we found out and did a Freedom of Information request and found out they had like over 60 administrators that were making over $250,000 a year, in addition to their superintendent at the time, who was.
Yeah, it says here Mark Henry in December 2023 made $536,000.
Yeah, there's one school district, I don't remember which one it is, but the superintendent was making close to $700,000. And like I said, that doesn't include their expense accounts and stuff like that. It's too much and that's what I was saying earlier, is keep the education of the child and the quality education as the primary thing, rather than enriching. In my view, nobody in public service should be collecting that much wealth. And it's not to say that the job is not difficult or whatever. I mean, running one of those school districts, I mean, you're running a huge corporation. I mean, I get that, and they're like, well, we need the best people. You can get good people without going overboard.
Yeah.
Just to add on to that, I just looked up the salary of all the superintendents in our area. Tomball ISD, $433,000 with an enrollment of 22,000 students. That ratio is insane. And then Klein ISD, your district, $404,000 with an enrollment of 53,000. That is insane. And then for Sci-Fair, you could somewhat see a ratio. This is not a ratio. Well, you guys, audience, can see it, but the ratio is 22,000 students and $433,000. There is absolutely no way you can explain the ratio between enrollment and base pay. and they only have 2 high schools, by the way. A handful of intermediate schools, a handful of middle schools, and a handful of elementary schools. It doesn't add up, and this data definitely supports your point that this is reckless spending. The money could have gone into paying for the child's, expenses, maybe for their exams, or more pay for the teachers who definitely earn the pay more than the superintendent themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just did a quick Google search. Last year, Sci-Fair spent $2.4 billion on devices for students and teachers in the classroom.
That was paid for by a bond program and a bond, make no mistake about it, it's a tax increase for the taxpayers.
Yeah. One thing that I know Sci-Fair, I'm not sure about any of the other districts, but Sci-Fair, they give Chromebooks to every single student. They have a 1-to-1 student device ratio in all a district. And honestly, I don't think the students need the Chromebooks. Like, honestly, you can do everything that you need to. Like, classroom shared computers, like, I know my teacher for my shop class, he has a rack of computers that they had before COVID, and then after COVID, they gave everybody the Chromebooks. But I believe, like, they should still keep all the tech stuff, but you shouldn't have, like, your own Chromebook. Like, you shouldn't walk to school with your own Chromebook. Like, you should have, like, classroom set devices that don't move around with you. They, like, stay in the classroom. They're, like, teacher devices. And, like, you don't need a personal Chromebook, because I do know that now that they've had this phone ban at my school, they have YouTube unblocked, and people are just watching YouTube shorts or just watching YouTube videos, like, all day, and they don't pay attention. Like, I do know people that walk around with their earbuds in on their computers, and teachers can't do anything about it because it's not a cell phone. Like, they can tell them to get off, but they can't force them to get off of it too. But I do think that devices in the classroom are a pretty big distraction. But like you said, the microphones and the speakers and the new Promethean boards, they are pretty expensive. They're not really useful, but I do think it's useful for the teachers and, like, teaching devices to, like, get the materials taught, because I do know that they have that annotating features. Like, it's basically just a huge TV that you can write on with your finger.
I think the Promethean board was probably the best thing we've purchased. And adding on to the Chromebooks, there are kids that do impressively reckless things with the Chromebooks, to the point, there was this one Chromebook. I remember this kid managed to damage it so much that the only reason why it was still on was because there was a wire connecting the screen and the keyboard. Besides the fact that I'm beyond impressed on how you managed to, like, physically achieve that, it does show that there are some kids that completely don't even value the Chromebooks. They play games on it. They go on unblock games. And some of them may find a way to, like, go through the firewall, which I've seen has happened before, to access, like, completely inappropriate material and all of that. The Chromebooks need to have a second opinion, a second look into it for it. And also, we also have to note, the Chromebooks are very weak, like, in terms of processing. I'm in computer science, and the teacher basically said, if you want to do computer science 3 or 4, you better have your own computer. The Chromebooks can't even run the software where you could write the code in. That is actually just disappointing. And in the computer science classroom, well, at my high school, Cy Woods, they have computers across the entire the entire room, but obviously you can't take it home. And the Chromebooks, too weak to process it. So I think we should tone down on the Chromebooks and have a system where there may be slightly more powerful computers, but they're only for selected students that have good standing, good grades, and good behavior. It just needs reform overall.
One thing I wanted to add to that was that, like, homework-wise, like, I get that some students are poor and they don't have much income, and they don't have the money to be getting their own computers. Like, let's say I'm in professional communications, basically public speaking, but I've written about 6 or 7 essays this semester so far, and it's a lot of homework. And if I didn't have my Chromebook and I didn't have much income, my MacBook right here, if I didn't have this and I was very poor, I had low income, what would I, like, do my homework on? Like, how would I be able to do that? And another thing I wanted to say was that most people don't have, like home Wi-Fi, and I do know that Sci-Fair is spending a lot of money on hotspots for these children. Like, I do think that the Chromebooks are a great idea for, like, that situation for like low income families that aren't able to purchase their own computers and they have to do homework and they don't have the money to go out and buy a $2,000 computer to do like computer science, like you were saying. Let's say I was running by myself and I didn't have parents and I was just living in like an adoption center and I was going to a Cy-Fair school. My Chromebook was all I have. I didn't have a cell phone or anything to type up an essay on. And then they take the Chromebooks away. How am I going to get my homework done? You know what I'm saying?
So I should have probably specified a little bit more on the how like the school there should be a system where the school selects on a student. If the kid in the adoption center, if they don't have any behavior issues, if their grades are as best as they could have it, and if the teacher recommends them to have it, to have a Chromebook, then the school should give it to them. The only reason why I'm saying that this system where you have to select the kids on who can get a Chromebook, it should exist, is because I want to prevent more money going down the drain because they neglect the Chromebooks. They completely abuse it. They use it for anything but its intended purpose. So that's my clarification for you.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Carden. We're going to go ahead and get Micah on here. So.
All right. Sounds good. Come on up.
And then we can finish the next 2 questions.
While they're switching out, can I just add something to that? I'm a pastor, so I'm going to go preachy on you here for a second. But, Jesus said something, one of the most controversial things I think he ever said that we know about, recorded in the book of Matthew. Jesus says, whoever has will be given more, and whoever does not have, even what they do have, will be taken away. And you think about that, that's pretty scandalous truth to speak out. But you look across history and our society now, and that truth plays out like over and over and over and over again. And what we have right now, like in our culture, is this idea where everybody wants everybody to just be the same and we're all going to be even. And the fact is and they want to cry, well, there's less fortunate people that don't have the same opportunity. And the fact is that there, even in a large city like this, there are different, incomes and levels of incomes of people. But the fact is if we can create a system where somebody that wants to achieve and to excel, in our public school system now, we have seen people come from low income places and achieve some of the highest things in our society. It can be done, but it starts at home, and these are the things that we don't always want to be talking about. But it does start in the home. It starts with the parents, and not every. The tough part for children is they're just given the hand that they're dealt, and they've got to figure that out. But it's not just a funding issue, and this is something for you guys that are, in high school and young and up and coming and learning all of these issues and forming opinions and ideals. Understand this at the core of the foundation is it all starts in the home. It all starts with family. And you can have the best school system and fund it the best way possible, but if you have a family unit that's falling apart, then it's going to be an uphill battle, and that's a whole nother issue. But it all comes back to what's happening in the home, and we've got to impact those areas too. But that's another issue. Yeah. Go back to your agenda.
All right, so I have 2 more questions on House Bill 3 for you, and Micah over here. But first, Mike, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself, that would be awesome.
All right, my name is Micah Peterson. I am the Harris County High School Republican Secretary on the board. So I just take notes for meetings and do all the secretary jobs. And I've been in the club for about 6 months, probably at most.
All right, thank you. So the next question is, the hearing on the school choice bill lasted over 20 hours, ending at 6:30 in the morning the next day. During some of the testimonies, there were concerns about maintaining the anonymity of homeschoolers. Do you think this will be a problem? You want to go ahead and start with Micah because you're homeschooled. So,
I think that this bill could really help homeschoolers because with homeschoolers, there can only really be one job supporting the house because usually there's going to be a mom that stays home and teaches the kids. But then, so they don't really have a very high income unless the dad or the person with the job has a very high paying job. But then when you get to high school, usually what ends up happening is the mom can't teach the kids the really advanced things that they need for the rest of their life, like things that you will learn in high school. So they end up trying to send the kids to homeschool co-ops, which are groups of homeschool students that meet and they have teachers and they learn more advanced things. They're kind of like private schools, but they're not held every day of the week. They're usually held like 3 days a week. But those cost a lot of money because lots of times it's honors classes. Like me and my sister go to honors homeschool classes 3 days of the week, and they cost around a few $1,000s combined for both of us to attend those classes. So it costs a lot of money to get that education. So I think this bill could really help with funding for those classes and help with like doing more activities and taking classes. Like earlier you talked about STEM classes. Like homeschoolers don't really have those opportunities except for at these co-ops that they have to pay a lot of money to go to.
Yep. Pastor David, do you have anything to add on?
Yeah, I do. I've been pretty vocal about my support of this bill for school choice, and I've been really shocked, I think, to see a lot of the homeschool parents come out against this, and I think it has been a ploy from the left, from people that are against school choice, to divide. And it's a lot of fear-mongering, in my view, of somebody trying to, they basically come in and tell all these homeschool parents like, this is terrible. This is what they're going to do is they're going to come regulate you and tell you what you can and can't teach your kid in homeschool. And if you look at the Constitution of the United States, if you look at the Civil Rights Act of 1963? What is it? Title VII? You've got the Google. When did Title VII come out? 64. Civil Rights Act comes out. It regulates what the government can and can't do, and that's going to apply to states as well. And this has been my argument to homeschool parents is like, if they think that the state of Texas is going to make a bill that's going to fund homeschool parents and give them money, and then the state's going to come in and regulate them and tell them you can teach this and you can't teach that, and then you've got these homeschool parents going, no, we've got to vote no on this because they're going to be able to control us. And that's the thing, is we want to maintain control. Is first of all, the government can't come into your home and tell you what you can and what you want to teach your kids. The government's not going to come tell your parents what they're going to teach. And they're saying, well, they're going to regulate and say, well, it has to be this kind of curriculum. Okay, well, then add it as separate curriculum and call it regular parenting. There's no way that it's ever going to happen. There's no way that your state rep is not going to show up knocking on the door going, we want to see the curriculum. You can't teach this. Like, I'm telling you, there are religious freedom attorneys that are chomping at the bits to be able to get their hands on let the government do it one time. Let somebody, this is what I want to happen, is like, let it happen to somebody in my church. We got a lot of homeschool parents. We had a homeschool co-op here at our church for a long while. We've got lots of homeschool parents. Let the government come in and try to tell them, hey, we're going to need you to not teach your children about Jesus if you're going to take this money. It's just not going to happen, and that would get shot down really quick. So if you're watching, you're a homeschool parent, and you've bought into this idea that this bill is bad because it somehow gives them a loophole to come tell you what you can and can't teach your children, that right there should make you want it to pass. So because if I'm a homeschool parent, like I would be like, please, I dare the state of Texas to show up on my door and tell me what I can and can't teach my kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they came out with a new God's Not Dead movie, and that's basically the situation that you were explaining. Like, they had a homeschool co-op, and it was like a group of like 30 kids, and they had some angry neighbors. They were like, "Oh, I hate Jesus. I don't like them teaching their kids. This is child abuse." So they had a CPS agent show up to their house, and they had to take away their teaching licenses because it was like a full homeschool co-op at their house, and they were teaching, and they were teaching them about God. They had a whole Bible class, and they had to get inspected by 2 CPS agents. And they were like, "Okay, so now we're transitioning into our Bible class." And the CPS agents were like, "Bible class?" And they were like really left liberals, and they basically shut down the whole homeschool co-op, and all these families had nowhere to go because they didn't want to go to public schools or private schools that were so leftist in the DC area, and they just wanted to homeschool their children. And they were running low on money, and they couldn't get a job because CPS just shut down their homeschool co-op and tried to take their teaching licenses away because they were teaching about Jesus to their own children.
Well, if the Christian homeschooler people, and this is in the D.C. area?
Yeah, D.C. area.
If they, and here's another thing. Can I just speak my mind?
Yes.
Is that what you brought me on to do? Listen, Christians of America, and especially of the state of Texas and of Washington, D.C., if that's where this was.
Mm-hmm.
Parents need to, first of all, know your rights, and my God, stand up for what you believe in, and oppose something like this. You know, it's you're going to get me off on whole other things. You know, 4 years ago, during COVID-19, we found like the government trying to impose all of these things, and you know, even here in Harris County, we would have never thought that we'd have Harris County judge trying to tell churches when they could and can't meet.
Yeah.
And pastors and leaders need to stand up and help their people understand that the government's not going to tell us what we teach in our home, and if we will all be of one mind and understand what our civil rights are. They cannot discriminate. They cannot discriminate based on race, religion. They cannot tell you what you can teach your children in the home. It's never going to happen as long as we are educated and stand up for what is right and oppose it. If somebody's trying to infringe on rights, you have to oppose it immediately. So there's my take.
All right, so one last question here for the end of House Bill 3 is the term voucher was used repeatedly during the hearings. Can you explain the difference between a voucher and an ESA educational savings account?
I'll pass that to you.
Okay.
No,
So-
I cannot explain the difference.
The ESA Education Savings Account, it basically just provides money for homeschool families or private school families to teach their kids because, like, it's very expensive. So with that extra money, they are able to teach their kids with the extra opportunities, extra classes, so that they can be ready for their career. So with voucher, what was the question about that?
The term voucher was used repeatedly during the hearings. Can you explain the difference between a voucher and an ESA educational savings account?
So the ESA program, it basically just provides, I think it's $2,000. I saw that number a lot in the bill, to private school, for homeschool families and private school families for their tuition. So it says private school tuition and homeschooling resources, tutoring, and then also educational technology. It says it's managed by the Texas Comptroller with funds allocated based on a priority system. And then the eligibility, it extends to students who would otherwise attend public schools, with priority given to low-income families and students with disabilities. The ESA also limits the use of funds to pre-approved education service providers and vendors, and then requires participants to take certain assessment tests to ensure accountability. And that's what we were talking about earlier with people coming into the homeschoolers' homes to test them. I don't think that they could win a case about trying to tell homeschoolers that they can't teach them certain things, because if kids in public colleges in public schools are allowed to have trans clubs and all liberal leftist classes and DEI, and I heard that there was an actual demonic club in a school that students were able to go to. If they're allowed to have that, then why can't homeschoolers and Christian homeschoolers have classes about Bible and worldview and all that?
Are we allowed to high five on the podcast?
Yeah.
I like this
Nice.
guy.
All
Yeah.
right, so the last question I have for both of y'all on the House Bill 3 is, do either of y'all have any examples where this school choice bill would help a child?
Say it again?
Do you have any examples or stories where this school choice bill would help a child?
It would help my child a whole lot. I mean, our youngest is in 7th grade at Providence Classical School, and it would help us because I'm paying school taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paying public school tuition. Call it what you want. And the opposition would say, no, you're just paying the taxes. Yeah, I'm paying into the school system and I'm paying public school tuition. So it would benefit our family gratefully, whatever that would look like. I don't know that we would qualify for the what did you call that? The ESA
Yeah,
program. I don't know if we would qualify for that, but it would help us out a whole lot. I think your first guest that was here with us was explaining about how, listing off those private schools that here in the greater Houston area, being able to level the playing field where somebody could possibly be able to afford to go to one of those schools, or maybe a parent could afford partial tuition but just can't afford the entire amount, and then they're able to have that month their taxpayer dollars follow the child would be super helpful to those people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it could definitely help homeschool families like my family a whole lot because they're paying a lot of taxes for other kids to go to public school.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the ones going to public school, so they're just paying so that other kids can go to school. And what if that money that they're paying for other kids to go to school could be for us to go to school? Like, they're having to pay extra for us to go to these classes and then still pay for other kids to go to public school. So what if those school taxes went to help us, to help their own children with their education?
Mm-hmm.
Another novel idea is that the liberals especially thinks that the government, owes everybody everything. Here's a great idea for you. The government doesn't owe you anything. Mm-hmm. Education is a privilege. They want to say, housing is a right. Education is a right, not a privilege. No, it should be. If you can have the approach of nobody owes me anything, and I gratefully and ambitiously wake up every day and go, hey, I'm going to go and take advantage of opportunities. I'm going to go make new opportunities for me rather than this the world owes me everything mentality. It would sure help.
All right, well, thank you, Micah. We're going to go ahead and bring Mason on here for House Bill 515, which is the phone banning in public schools. So, Pastor David, while they're switching on, I have a few questions for you on this bill. Do you think, there's good and bad reasons why phones should be banned in public schools? If you can go ahead and tell me a few reasons why you think it would be good.
To ban them?
Yes, to
they're
ban phones in
distraction.
public schools.
They're kids are abusing it. That was one of the problems that we had when my daughter was at Klein Oak. She's like, everybody's on their phone. The teacher has no control of the classroom. They're just doing their own thing. Discipline has to return to the school. And again, this is what I was saying earlier. The government doesn't owe you anything, and they need to get control of the classrooms. Whatever they have to do to get control of the classrooms, get control of the classrooms. And if there's kids that are unruly and are distracting or are going to ruin that opportunity for everybody else, get them out of the classroom. Mm-hmm. Because right now it seemed to me that everybody was regulation is tying the hands of teachers and administrators to actually bring discipline to the school. And I'm not saying bring back corporal punishment. I remember my dad, when he always tells a story how the coach, they would actually give them whippings back in the 50s and 60s. Okay, I'm not saying that our teachers should be, able to like spank the kids and stuff like that. But if a kid's distracting, or if they're being distracted continuously, they need to be disciplined and separated out. And whatever you have to do that. But the administrators don't want to kick them out because they get paid per day per child. So you don't want to kick too many kids out of school, because we've attached that to the funding. Do you see how it gets sideways when you start attaching school attendance to the funding? It makes it difficult, because then you've got administrators that would rather have the distracting kids in there. Yeah. Get rid of them. I went all the way through school, and I never had a cell phone, and I survived, and I learned just fine. And we did learn computer stuff, and we had computers that were provided that we could be on, but they weren't distracting us. I wasn't on YouTube watching videos during school.
Yeah, Mason, now that you're on here, could you go ahead and give me a few of the reasons why you think it's bad to be banning cell phones in public schools?
Bad to ban them?
Bad to ban them.
Oh, he's going to play devil's advocate. I want to hear it. Okay. I'm ready to debate.
So, I do definitely think it wouldn't be a good reason to ban it, because there's like safety and emergency, right? If you get hurt and like for some reason your mom's phone number isn't on file, you would have it on your phone and be able to contact them like immediately. Yeah. If you go into lockdown, you'd be able to, like, if your parents aren't hearing anything, and they're trying to make sure you're okay, you could send out a text to them saying, hey, I'm all right, I'm not sure what's going on, all I know is we're in lockdown, stuff like that. That leads me into the second topic, communicating with a parent. Like, if some reason the school gets out early for like gas leak, something like that, you can immediately contact your parent as soon as you hear, instead of waiting for the school to go through every single family to get to yours. Like, especially if you have like a last name like an N or like a T, something that would be towards the bottom of the list instead of at the top.
Yeah, one of the so this kind of brings me into like the woke agenda, the CRT, the sex ed in schools. Like, if teachers are like, pardon me, it's bad to be banning phones in schools, because let's say if the teachers are crazy enough to be teaching sex ed without like, Sci-Fair has an option for you to opt out of it, and let's say I opted out, but the teachers are still crazy enough to like forcibly teach it to you. God knows how crazy the admins at that school are. Like, and if you go, like, let's say I need to go talk to my counselor about this, or we need to have like a meeting with my mom. If the teachers are crazy enough to be teaching that, God knows how crazy the counselors are. And I want to be able to like text my mom and like record it. Like, we've had an incident at my school a few weeks back where my history teacher started talking about aliens, and she started showing us woke History Channel documentaries about how she thought, and she was determined that aliens were real and there was UFOs, and I started recording it, and we had to report it to the district, but that's a whole other thing. But that's one of the bad reasons, is like the sex ed, the CRT movements in schools like that are banned. And I do know some kids, they talk about their teachers teach it all the time, and like we do have a few trans teachers at my school, and one of the things is like what if they come up to me and they start telling me like I need to be a girl and I need to chop off, but that's some of the bad reasons. Like he mentioned, I had an incident at my private school a few years back where, not sure if I can share the incident, but we ended up going on lockdown.
Tell us all the details right now, on live on the air.
But basically, the whole school went on lockdown, and since we weren't allowed to have our phones out, our parents, our school had a automated messaging feature. So, like, let's say a fire alarm went off, or we got put on lockdown, a voice message would go to all the parents immediately and say like, this school's on lockdown. We'll get you the information as soon as possible. And so the second that happened, my phone was blowing up. We were sitting there behind the sound booth in the lunchroom. My phone was going beep, 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 beep. So that's,
Because your mom was like,
she was like, oh my gosh, what
"Is
happened?
my baby okay?"
Yeah, so that's another thing, like comforting parents, making sure that they know you're okay is another thing. Like, they don't want to have to reach out to like 45 different police officers or school staff to figure out if you're okay or not. Like, that's a
Yeah, it's
pretty
just
big deal.
convenience in
Yeah.
my view. Can I disagree?
Yeah.
Here's my disagreement. Everything you mentioned is just like convenience for the parents, or like these situations that are like less than 1% of the time, like one-off. Because here's the thing. First of all, Evan, I know your mother, and if she would not let you go to a school where a teacher is going to go rogue and start teaching you sex ed. And if they did, here's what I know also. You would tell her that night when you got home, and she would be crawling down somebody's throat the next morning at the school. In my view, the ends don't justify the means. The distraction is the big issue that's happening like all the time. How many times do you see how often do you see kids distracted on their phones on a daily basis in school?
Oh, every day. Sci-fairs.
How often do you think a teacher is going rogue and teaching something that they shouldn't be teaching? Every day, or is that kind of like a rare event?
It's not rare. Maybe like twice a week,
Twice a week you see a teacher.
believe it or not.
Evan's
But,
mom, I want to know, why do you still have this kid in this school?
But
Twice a week?
another thing I wanted to say was
Sci-fair,
that,
get it together, man.
another thing I wanted to say was that card I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the podcast was the pouches for the phones, and we were talking about the savings account and wasting money that could be put towards education instead of trying to put phones in pouches. And he mentioned that school district, they wasted over like $50,000 something just on phone pouches for like one of the smallest districts in that state too. And like, I know I've seen like a lot of Instagram, TikTok videos about people like ripping the pouches in half and then them having to get a replacement pouch. Like, the school's gonna have to pay more for that because they can't make you pay for that. But
I think that's stupid.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely the dumbest idea. Government shouldn't be buying pouches. Make a rule and then enforce the rule.
Yeah.
Like, have discipline in the classroom. I mean, we have this at the private school that we're at. The kids are told, you can have your cell phone and you can turn it off and put it in your backpack. If you're caught with it, there's hell to pay. And like, there are consequences every single time that you're caught with your phone. Just enforce the rule. Take the phone. I think you said that they like charge you if
my
if it
school,
gets taken away.
if you get caught with your phone, the teacher takes it up and gives it to the AP, and the AP holds on to it at the end of the day, and he calls your parents, and your parents have to go up there and pay the office $15.
Yeah, don't make it 15. Make it like 50 or 100. Like, make it where the parents like go home and tell the kid, you don't have a phone anymore because we're not paying for you to get it out of Hawk. Like, follow the rules.
Yeah.
Have discipline.
Could I come back in on that? Which my school doesn't have the pouches, which I think is a good thing. Like you said, you're allowed to have it even in your pocket, just as long as it's off, because my school allows you to use it at lunch and in the morning before school starts. But these schools, if this bill gets passed, one of the main problems would be, how are they going to carry this out? Because my school, it has about 3,000 kids, so that's 3,000 phones, like, technically under their control during the school day, because I know some of the teachers at my school, they've started to, like, collect the phones at the beginning of class, and you, like, put it in this bag, kind of, and you get it back at the end. But even still, if each teacher does that, that's still about 20-ish phones per teacher that they're kind of like, if it gets broken, it's kind of, their fault, and that's just more that the school has to pay.
Yeah. Another thing
Make the
I
rule.
wanted-
Tell me, if you bring your phone to school, bring it at your own risk. If we confiscate your phone because your kid broke the rule, and the phone gets broken,
Not our fault.
then you're responsible. Make that rule. I don't know. I'm not a fan of having them.
Another
That's just
thing,
me.
another thing I wanted to add on how it could be good for banning phones in schools would be the bullying. Like all the bullyings. I know I've seen people post on Instagram, like they would go to the bathroom mid-class and they'd post on Snapchat. They'll be like, hey, let's go jump this kid at 3 before lunch. And there's a fight about it. Like I've heard stories at my school, like last year, someone posted on TikTok saying that we're going to jump you. And this kid got so scared, he went and had to go hide up in the AP's office the whole day. And he went home in tears because he was so afraid he was going to get jumped for no reason at all. So, like, confiscating it during the school day, I think is a good idea. But, like, being able to use it, like, definitely, like, during the halls, like, you shouldn't be able to use it, like, at all. But, like, in the classroom, it should be teacher's discretion. Like, I know that there's teachers that will, like, allow it sometimes. But, like, it shouldn't be allowed at, like, lunch because, like,
You shouldn't be allowed to bully somebody on
That too,
on your
yeah.
social media and stay enrolled in that school.
that too, yeah.
I mean, here, let's prepare you for the workplace. I work for a church and I work for United Airlines. Well, we have social media like policies and procedures. If I post something derogatory about the company on my social media, well, guess who doesn't have a job? United Airlines. If you're watching, I want to thank you for the opportunity to work for you. You know, you can't do that. Don't bully people, or you're gone. I mean, I know that's not a quick fix, but it goes back to you've got to have discipline at school. Start there and discipline people and get the bad kids out. Whatever you have to do. Even here you go, administrators. Even if you lose funding because you don't let kids that are distracting and bullying people and being violent control the whole school.
Yeah, both those reasons are two of the reasons on my list on why it would be good. You know, the mental health concerns. You know, people getting texts like, "Hey, go kill yourself," stuff like that. That's most of it does happen during the school day.
Yeah.
It's not really, you know, after school. And then the discipline. You know, at my school, I have 8 class periods, and almost every class period there's about 2 or 3 kids on their phone not paying attention. So there are, you know, pros and cons to this, like almost every House bill, but I think this one, it's kind of iffy.
I say ban them. How about this? No cell phones at all for any children under the age of 18 anywhere at any time.
All right, well, that's all I have on here. Y'all have anything else to add?
Hey, I'll add this. You guys are all very, very sharp, and I have maybe higher IQs than I'll ever have. And I appreciate what you're doing. You're doing a great job. You're going to go far in life. I'm excited to see, and I'm excited to be a guest on your podcast.
Well, yes, sir. Thank you so much for coming on here. Thank you, everybody, for y'all's responses to my questions, and can't wait to get this uploaded to wherever we're going to upload it to. And y'all come visit Pastor David's church. It's Spring First Church, the best church I've ever been to. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Say more things like that. That's
yeah.
wonderful.
But yeah, we'll see y'all next month on the Red Wave Rising podcast, and can't wait to see y'all then. Thank y'all.
All right.